Below it has areas of significant deficiency within the fire department, water supply section, and a communications area. One of which it just mentioned, it says that it needs, we're using our ladder truck as an engine company, which is hurting us on our rating. Also a training facility, an accessible training facility. We got rid of ours quite a few years ago, just guessing probably 5 or 6 years ago is when we finally kind of leveled the building due to not being safe to enter any longer. That's actually hurt us quite a bit rating-wise, not having a training facility that we can access in close proximity to Crockett. The water supply, it says a fair level of compliance with the ISO rating document. Water supply is sufficient where the distribution system capacity where fire hydrants are developed for fire protection are slightly insufficient throughout most of the city of Crockett based on the fire exam. However, in the downtown area, the system capacities are very deficient. The fire hydrants are not inspected to the frequency required by ISO. In a communications area, there was a couple deficiencies, primarily lack of some electronic equipment that they recommend and personnel. On page 9, fire safety control demonstrated 3 significant areas of deficiency. One is that we don't have a full-time fire marshal available to enforce the adopted international fire code, which we did, and we do get good credit for that. And investigate fires deemed suspicious.
Wait, it sounded like you said 2 different things. We do, I thought he was full-time.
Yes, sir, but he is not Crockett full-time. And he is not able to enforce or inspect according to code, his fire codes. He's not.
Don't we have to call in, like on work instruction, right, to call in the state fire marshal?
He does
proper investigation.
He is able to investigate fires deemed suspicious. In that capacity, we do utilize him. But as far as a full-time fire marshal available to enforce the fire code, he's not able to do inspections or enforcement.
He's emergency management coordinator for the city and county, correct?
Yes,
but not the fire marshal.
Yes, sir. He's not a certified inspector.
Well, that's, I guess, misled or misunderstood.
Yes, sir.
I thought he was the fire marshal.
He is in some ways.
I mean, it's hard to is or isn't thing to me. I don't
He's
know.
not completely certified to the standards that they would like to see.
Okay.
To be able to provide inspections, you have to be certified by the commission, state commission.
Let me ask this the last mechanical code and all we passed, is he going to be doing the building inspections?
No, yeah, building code enforcement, John Erickson.
Does he have proper certification?
Yes, sir.
Training facility. Do we have anything in town?
We've been looking for the past few years, kind of putting our minds together, trying to see a direction we can head on that.
It has to be 3 stories, right?
It has to be minimum. It has to be 1 story. Yes, actually 4 stories. 1 story above 3 stories, which is 4. Because 3 stories is the level of the we have 4 or 5 buildings at a 3-story level. So we have to have 1 level above that, to clarify myself. At present, the City of Crockett has an ISO of 6. It gives a breakdown if we reached a 4, what kind of savings we would see percentage-wise, and they are extremely modest compared to rates that I've got from local insurance companies. So I believe those are definitely safe to say that we could see those. I got considerably higher ratings on local.
Chief, are these, if we proceed with this and continue and all this stuff, and this is a lot of information.
Absolutely.
Will these insurance companies, are they going to voluntarily lower homeowner rates?
Yes, they have no choice.
So we're not going to have to go and haggle with them and beg them to lower them. They're going to automatically lower rates citywide.
Yes, sir. That's state laws, legislation. They have built into their system, they have a coefficient that they operate off of, and that number, as it changes, it automatically changes the rates on the premiums.
Move we adopted.
So, in short, I have the analysis of the report, and you have the grading scenario. He has the recommendations where he thinks the fire department ought to direct their resources and try to specifically address some of the key issues that he was mentioning that are shortcomings. One is the ISO facility, the compliant training facility. Another one being a second engine company with CAS.
Chief, throw out some ballpark figures. I've got some in my mind, I know on an engine, but I just want the public to hear some of these figures, how astronomical it's going to be if we pursue this.
Yes, they are.
New engine, roughly ballpark. With a
Ballpark.
cab system.
With a CAS phone system, probably looking in the neighborhood of $475,000.
475,000.
Yeah, but Chief, get from a 6 to a 4 is basically paperwork function, is it not?
Absolutely, and that's what I was fixing to go over. He mentions his recommendations and the steps that he thinks we ought to take in achieving lower grade. First of all, would be to proceed from a 6 to a 4 would be a 2-point drop. A lot of that is going to be achieved within the department, and some housekeeping policy issues that he addressed. None of it that we would see any large expenditures on. Some of it we're addressing actually this week. We have several guys going through the instructor class. Myself and one of the other firefighters are actually going through inspector training to address the issue with the not having a full-time fire marshal that is able to do inspections.
And then you guys will have 2 people that would fit those qualifications?
Yes, sir. It's not a full-time fire marshal. Again, when we're talking about ISO, they take credits differently. If you provide a fire marshal that is dedicated to that, you get certain credit points. If we use a full-time firefighter who's also doing other duties, you get a prorated credit.
Okay.
But yes, we do get credit on that.
Well, as I think it's been mentioned already, there's a lot of information here to try to wrap our heads around. But one thing, I was just looking at the things that I can make sense of without a teacher in front of me. And the Texas addendum, it's on page 4. I look for the extra credit points. I mean, that's the way I made it through school. Here I am on city council. It said here, mathematically, this section could add an additional 11.39 points to a grading point total. Normally, 4 to 7 additional points are achieved. Now over here, we didn't even get the normal. We got 2.62, and then it says there's nothing there about the 11.39. It just says a maximum of 6.5. It just looks like it's contradicting itself.
It depends on how, once again, on how those credits are used. If they're used in one section, you get more points for it. Once again, this guy has a degree in engineering and has done this, and it's like me trying to decode IRS law.
I wasn't sure if you could shed any light on me.
Yes, sir. It is. It depends on how the credits are used, and that's why I really suggested him coming in here to try to put that down in plainer English, even though it's still a word, a mouthful.
Yeah, because all through the report is 1 point something on this one and this one, 5 points on
Yes,
this one. It's scattered all throughout these 30 pages.
Yes, sir. My suggestion is to follow his action plan number 1.
To get the extra points.
To go ahead
Go
and
from 6 to 4.
to go from a 6 to a 4.
Right.
We're going to have to do some memorandum of understandings, some pre-planning programs, some other issues that it mentions here, all of which would not be significant expenditure. At that time, or within this time, I would like to see council put together a strategic planning committee to be able to go over this document in depth and to set ourselves up for a 2, 3, 5-year plan on which direction that we're going to be able to go. By far, the fire service has always been at a disadvantage on justifying the expenditures because it doesn't have a direct source of revenue. This right here is a definite way to be able to judge that the benefit that it provides the city when it provides homeowners with a lower premium. And then we can calculate the dollar signs.
Just a ball, I don't mean to cut you off, just before I forget to ask my question, and I'm done. You said at a nominal or minimal cost, do you have a ballpark number that those 2 points are going to cost us? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, not looking for any.
No, sir, to my, other than some training, we have to complete 1 more year of a pump test. They've only been completed since I've been on, so we have 1 more year. I've got 2 years right now, pump test, that gives us some points. Some issues like that, other than just getting some paperwork taken care of, some reports back in, keeping some different types of records that we haven't been keeping before. We could achieve that, I would say, at minimal to no cost. Other than maybe some training on some pre-planning programs, something like that.
What about equipping all your apparatus? How much?
Our apparatus is equipped, I would say, to national standards or to ISO standards.
Chief, what is the, do we have any idea as far as what this consulting services, is it stair stepped as far as what he's gonna charge us? Because it says if we more or less hire him to take this on, do we have any cost of what this is gonna cost us? Maybe are we gonna call this a first round if we proceed with it? I mean, what?
This is this was his initial survey.
Yes.
When we spoke of it last time, I wanted to do the initial survey and use him primarily as a consultant and then as a representative. When the ISO comes in, he can speak this language better than I can and deal directly with him. Council voted at that time to do a 2-stage process, one now for this pre-survey. We paid half of 50%, and we paid 25% of the 18,000 that we voted on, which was for 4,500, and then economic development paid the other 4,500. When they come back in towards the end of the year, if all goes as planned, and if I get my blessing on this, it will be in our next budget, and we will pay the second half of that fee, which will be another $9,000 for him to come back as our representative and deal with ISO and to help us on that, getting some of the paperwork and documentation together.
There's been a motion, and I second.
Yeah, I don't, it's kind of not what we originally had.
I thought
We did get a motion, but I didn't recognize it because it's basically an update on the report, so.
Right.
Accept the report.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, then I seconded what you said before.
okay. Well, then we'll.
If there's any other questions, please, I'm available.